Hello, beautiful friends. I want to share with you my favorite big red reset button in A Course in Miracles. It's not red and it's not a button, but I think of it that way because it literally resets me whenever it is that I get stuck. On the Course in Miracles study groups that I facilitate on Sunday nights, we call this page 90. We just say page 90 and we immediately know what we're talking about. And we're referring to page 90 in the Foundation for Inner Peace edition. That's where this prayer lives. And if you have another edition, I'll post the page references to the other editions below this video. So actually also, just to share something else kind of funny, when I think about this prayer being like a reset button, I think of this cartoon from the 1990s called Ren and Stimpy, which you may or may not know about. And it's a pretty twisted cartoon. And I used to love this episode called Space Madness. And at the end of this episode, Stimpy is told that he can't press this big button, but he's so compelled and just has to press this button. That's how this prayer is for me. I'm compelled to it. It's like literally I have to press this because I have seen the results in my own life about the shifts that it can bring about for me. So the prayer is, I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide for God for me. It's awesome. So let's break this down a little bit. I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. So there with that first sentence, it's not about what anybody else did. It's not what any external circumstances are. It's that somewhere I made the wrong decision and therefore I'm not at peace. It's my own perception that needs healing. And with that next sentence, I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. There, we're calling on our willingness to see differently. We're opening to Spirit to let a different perception come to us. And that's with that, continuing that third sentence, I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. That's declaring our willingness. The next part, I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. Guilt is just another thing the ego lays on the mind to cloud that awareness of love. It is guilt, only feeling guilty about something is only keeping the ego going. It's only adding fuel to the fire. So rather than getting caught in guilt, turning to Spirit and saying, the Holy Spirit is going to undo all the consequences of my wrong decision because I'm willing to turn my perceptions over to it. I'm willing to forgive myself. I'm willing to see differently. So that piece is huge in not feeling guilty, but in trusting. The beauty of that statement is that we can trust that we don't need to feel guilty because the consequences will be undone because we're no longer keeping those perceptions to ourselves and for ourselves. And then with that final sentence, I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide for God for me. So I choose to let the Holy Spirit undo those consequences by allowing Spirit to choose for love for me, to choose for God for me. We forget that we don't know how to choose for love. We forget that we don't know how to actually forgive. These things are Spirit's job. It's our task to let Spirit do what it does. It's our task to get out of the way and let Spirit do its thing. So we're letting Spirit choose for love for us. We're letting Spirit choose forgiveness for us. Our task is simply to turn to Spirit with our willingness to let these things happen because we don't actually know how to do these things ourselves. So it's that power within us. It's our inner teacher, our higher mind, Spirit, whatever you call it, that can do these things for us if we have just that tiny bit of willingness to allow that to happen. So I hope that was helpful. Page 90, big reset button. Enjoy.